a lot of people are kind of, oh, we don't do that, you know, that's a bit beyond what we're, you know, that people make very definite to tell you that, oh no, ours is a pure white, it's a white house, it's a white house. It's a Casablanca, you know, Casablanca. So they want to make sure that you're not uncertain. Channeling and the oracular priestess in the ancient world. You know, it is possible. I mean, as Thomas mentioned, that Magdalene was a place which was renowned for having prophetesses, and this is the Pythia at the Delphic oracle. And she's looking into a bowl, you know, and you think, well, what's she doing there? But we see also she's holding the laurel and all of these things where this idea of, you know, maybe, you know, chewing something that is going to create a certain effect and things like that. Laurel is very poisonous, but there is also a different tradition which I realised that if you boil laurel in water, if you put a pan on the stove or something, the fumes that rise from it, you know, like bay leaves, you can, you know, kind of sniff the fumes, and you will be taken into a kind of prophetic state, you know, it was suggested that the Delphic oracle priestess, the prophetess, you know, she did some kind of practice.
Is laurel the same as bay?
Yes, it's part of the same family.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is again another image of her on a tripod, and there's been speculation about aphasia, which let out certain gases and things. Some people say, oh no, that's ridiculous, and there's no aphasias and no, you know, cracks and things like that. Others have said, oh yes, there is, and there's a definite line and things like that. There was a practice in kind of pre-Roman culture of a goddess of bad smells, and kind of entrances to the other world were often places where no bird sound happened. It was like a completely empty space, and you couldn't hear birds because they'll fly over and die. And often these, what they call mephitic lakes, mephitic gases, they'd be highly noxious gases. So it may possibly be that there's certain kind of mephitic gases natural to the sort of Magdalene sort of area, that's, you know, kind of give that kind of possibility to oracular ideas and things like that. It's not been looked at sufficiently in the archaeology and the geology to sort of see if that's a possibility. But we see lots and lots of it. And, you know, there's a very famous writer, Daniel Ogden, who writes very strongly about necromantic traditions in the ancient world, and, you know, mephitic gases and, you know, lakes and things like that. And it's very interesting that a lot of Jesus' ministry happens around a lake, you know, around the sort of Galilee area, and being on the lake, and that seems quite interesting to do with that same idea, which you get in Virgil's idea of entering the underworld, and, you know, kind of entrance portal points and necromantic temples and so on. So I channeled Mary Magdalene teaching, so I'd like to bring it a bit up to date and to look at the modern movement, because here we are, you know, we've got, you know, Mary Magdalene, and she's looking kind of askance, and that's very much like if you imagine a modern medium on platform, kind of, you know, the head sort of tilts to one side as they tune into what the other world is saying and things like this, like she's receiving inspiration or an instruction. That is a very, very typical position to kind of adopt as you're kind of training your spiritual ear to tune into, you know, information. I just wanted to share some of these things. This is from a modern writer, Mercedes Kirkle, who seems to be quite a name. You know, over the last fortnight I spent quite a while looking at some of these channel teachings and what's on offer in the, you know, kind of modern sort of, you know, the modern seekers. And this is supposedly, because I don't like to say yay, nay or anything, but this is supposedly Mary Magdalene having a chat with, you know, people who are interested. And she says, "Greetings again, I come to you in love to share the light and wonder of our Creator God. On this day I ask you to open your heart. I ask you to open your mind. I ask you to open to life. I ask you to open to love, which is always God's love. I ask you to open to light, which is always God's light. It is that simple. Your job is to open and God will do the rest. So that's quite a nice little thing, you know. I mean, I don't think that's particularly sort of challenging. And then this is someone else. And this is, it seems to be more of a gospel. And I'll, if you'd like to kind of close your eyes if you want, because there's a whole page, you know, a little page there. And the voice returned to me and spoke that this is the temple of revealing, and stripped of all covering you may find anointing. Be set free, thought entombed in faceless, silent, voiceless woman. And I raised up my hands in the manner of a prayer, but knew not to whom or what my prayer was addressed, but stood in silent emptiness, purified and anointed as the breath of flame tore at my soul and assembled me anew. And I knew not what to say, but knew to return and speak and lift my veil and be no longer silent, for I had seen and heard and felt and received an anointing that no words could describe. The breath of the Lord had touched me, and in the rising flame I was risen in him. So that's another person who worked with the energy. And then this is maybe this is the same kind of thing. And she seems to be describing the practice. And she's asking the risen Christ, you know, after.
Can I just say something before you read this out?
Yes.
We've got 5 more minutes.
It's at the end.
Do you want to... You're going to finish?
I'm going to finish, and then if people have got comments and questions.
If we've got a few questions, we've literally got 5 minutes
Okay.
left. Okay.
How do I pray to thee? How do I pray to that power you are an emissary of? I stood with my hands raised to the heavens, and I understood the pursuit of the great mystery, that we prepare all our lives to the point of death. In preparation for death and what death may bring, then to stand in the manner of one dying in great suffering, as no suffering can be greater than this, but yet to contemplate his face, as I did that day, looking up and fearing the end, and greeting the end with my Lord. And after a time, it seemed that my body was broken, and I felt the pain of his leaving, and I sung psalms and knew to pray in this way, for only in greeting his pain do we become him. So that's a couple of modern pieces, and it leaves open all sorts of things through the channeling movement, and you know what people are getting from that, and the transpersonal, and I think that will lead on nicely to what Amanda's going to talk about. But we're kind of finished, so well, we are finished. Any questions or thoughts or ideas that that you'd like to